Good morning, parents. Good morning, guests. And thank you for taking time out on a Sunday for the webinar and helping us, parents and some students, understand what it takes to be a leader in the domain. I'll start with introduction of each of our three guests. We've got Sushma Salian with us, who's an undergraduate in chemistry. She has 30 years of experience in logistics and service industries. She's worked with a lot of companies, including ORIX, Jet Airways, Writer Corporation. She's a very proud mom of two fine lads and has taken a break for about 8 weeks before embarking on her next professional journey. And she's held leadership positions in various affairs of the society and does some pro bono work as well to impact positively around things. So thank you, Sushma, for being here. Next guest over. Yes, Sushma. So,
I was just thanking you for the warm introduction, and it's clearly a pleasure and privilege to be here today. So thank you very much.
great to have you here. We have Ganesh Iyer with us, who's a BTech in chemical engineering and has done his MBA from INSEAD. He comes with 25 years experience across the industry. Earlier, he worked with TCS, Infosys, BearingPoint, and been a co-founder with SSA Consulting for a long time now. He excels at the intersection of business strategy and execution, operations and supply chain management, excellence in these areas, along with driving consulting and AI-enabled solutions for growing enterprises. So thank you, Ganesh, for taking your time out.
Thank you for having me. Hope to have a great session today. Thanks.
And we have Mukesh Rajpurohit with us. He's a BCom honors and a Jamnalal Bajaj MBA with 25 years of experience in education and EdTech. He's an entrepreneur at heart and has led large-scale partnerships across K-12 and higher education segments. He currently holds the head of partnerships at Allen, where he builds strategic alliances, school partnerships, and scalable ecosystems. Great. So thank you so much here. Parents will take your questions after the initial rounds of introduction and initial rounds of a few questions that I have and I would like to ask them. Right? So anyone can start this. What has been your career journey and how have you reached where we are in May 2026? 30 years, 25 years. Please help us understand your journey and what can students and parents take home from that. Yes, Mukesh sir, please.
So thank you very much, Rahul sir. And it's been almost 20 odd years we've known each other, and almost we have crossed our paths multiple times. It's love to be here in the another session, and maybe a expectation to the students will be maybe some kind of interaction during the next 1 hour to share the thoughts, because that will be a lot of learnings from a young generation. We say Gen Z, though our experience matters a lot, but what the kind of knowledge and energy they bring on the table, it's awesome. Yeah. So that's what I want to say. I'll add my more story henceforth. Maybe Ganesh and Sushma can start further.
All right, Sushma, you want to take the lead?
Yes. So once again, good morning to all. Thank you, Rahul, for this experience. Apparently, your invite sort of pushed me back 3 decades to just review the journey, which has been so far so exciting for me. Being in the logistics industry, I think the most important, it's like the backbone for any global trade, right? So getting everything right at the first time is something which keeps you on your toes always. So it's been very exciting for me throughout my career in 3 large organizations. I'll just quickly touch upon my journey in brief, not taking more than 60 seconds. So I started my career from a very operational level execution, and I feel that has been my strength throughout. I got to connect with people, and the way the customer expectations, the experience, all of this sort of translated in me growing from an executive level to the regional head level in ORIX. Apparently, ORIX today is one of the leading leasing and car rental company in India. And I was fortunate to be one of the first 5 employees. Today, they are like a 5,000 plus employee strength. And I spent a whole 14 long years in this organization, grew ranks from executive to the regional head level, had opportunity to head couple of products within the journey. Proud to mention, and I was one of the key leaders who were involved in launching their Porsche taxi. That's the women-driven taxi services for the corporates, and it was a completely different experience which I had, and those learnings stay with me very close even today. Subsequent to that, I moved to Jet. Jet Airways wanted to launch their car mobility vertical then, and they hired me for setting those entire operations and the national level base stations. It was again a very different and a very overwhelming experience for me. Fortunate enough, before a year before Jet collapsed, I would say, I got this opportunity to work with Writer Corporation. It was a complete shift for me after 20 years into car mobility to move into the global mobility space for people as well as asset mobility. It was completely new because I didn't know there was a B2B industry which existed for employee relocations and asset mobility. And it for me, it was like just taking a step back and starting from the scratch, understanding the nuances of the industry, the demands, the expectations, because the car mobility was more a people driven, it was moving people, and here it was moving the personal effects or the emotional effects of the people. And this is something which was absolutely a new experience for me. But since I had started my career journey with touching base with what the customer expectations are, or how people need to be connected, how the blue collared employee need to be handled, how do you network, understanding the customer experience, which is critically important, how empathetic you need to be. All of these sort of help me to gradually scale up, and I sort of in the last 8.5 years in Writer, I grew ranks from being the national sales head to the business head of two product, which I was leading when I my last stint was in I left in April, and that's how my journey has been. And to the youngsters today, and I was fortunate to work with a mix of generation, and I will be very happy to share my experiences, how it was interacting, recruiting them, and scaling them to a different level. So thank you, Rahul, once again, and I'm very happy to listen to my co-guests also.
Thank you, Sushma, for that elaborate experience. Quite a range of journey here and in the leadership roles. Fantastic, great. Ganesh, something from you, sir?
Sure, sure. I think looking back, I don't know whether if you were to see career decisions in our times, I don't know what generation we would call it. We didn't have too many options, right? So education was largely restricted to engineering, doctorate, or you go into the art stream or commerce stream, right? So those were the limited choices which we had in those days, where people generally took studies as an option. And my path was to get into engineering over there. And the career path started with college placements in Tata Infotech. So that is where I got. And so I was a chemical engineer and then got into the IT field, information technology field. And this was right before the Y2K boom, which was happening. But call it lucky or call it what it was, I was not into the Y2K development part of it, and I got into the Indian side of the Tata Infotech division, which was managing large Tata accounts and managing the manufacturing support systems and other things. So my first consulting, or the IT consulting work which I did, I still collect, was with Tata Special Steels. where they had a lot of IT systems, and the requirement was you need to document what has been done so that the change management becomes easy, right? And with every work, for anybody who is taking up any work, given a work, there are different ways to do it, right? And finding the optimal way to do it is what one has to learn, right? And I think my first mentor who was there during the first job, one is you can look into the code, copy and paste it, and it becomes, you keep doing that manual activity. And how he mentored me was, he said that why don't you write a program which can go into look at this, and then you don't have to do it manually, and then you create VB macros and do it. So I think that is where the bug bit me, in terms of how do you develop solutions and how do you get into doing things differently, rather than think of it as a straight jacketed way of doing it. And then I think the other interesting part which happened was, that was a manufacturing experience where it was part of the MIS team, or so-called MIS teams in those divisions. And the second interesting work which I did there was where they had to set up the design the system for Container Corporation of India, right? So they did not have any systems. It was completely paper-based, and Tata Infotech was tasked with the project to actually digitize the whole system. So design thinking, something came up very early, given to me as part of the job role. And that again put on a different hat onto me, saying that how do you start thinking about systems? How do you start thinking about interconnecting remote places in those days? How do you get the connectivity on, and how do you transfer information and other things? So I think these few things, if I look back, I think have led to shape the way how my career has moved on, because it laid the foundations of my thinking in terms of how I look at problems, how do I start solving problems and other things. Since after Tata stint, I moved into Infosys, where, and I was very clear when I moved into Infosys, because typically what happened was Infosys was a large player at that time. But when you shift jobs, usually what happens is people or employees try to discredit your previous experience, saying that that won't be relevant here. That experience is probably not something which you can. But I was very clear that what I held and what I learned was something very valuable. And when Infosys was actually hiring, generally they used to give the entry-level role even with people with experience. And I just refused. I said that if I'm not getting the level which I want, which is with 2 years experience, I'm not joining, right? And I held my ground, and I think that also again helped to for them to realize what value I bring, rather than looking at what they want, right? And that's how I got into Infosys, got into a level which I wanted. And then in Infosys also, my trajectory was very different. So when you get into any of the IT services, IT consulting, you are not fixed by any technology, any customer, any client. And I think that again laid the path. I was first with core banking, financials. Then I moved into a product called Ariba, which got taken over by SAP later. And that experience did a lot of implementations for them. And I moved to US from Infosys, and then in the US shifted into BearingPoint. And I continued my journey in the Ariba product domain with BearingPoint, where I grew to the rank of a manager in their strategic sourcing and procurement division. So while all this was good, I was on a H-1B in the US, but I never wanted to stay back in the US. My heart was always here in India, and I wanted to come back. So when the choice was there to come back to India, that was a decision time for me in terms of what do I do with my career, because there was a family business on my wife's side, which was into management consulting, which was more into business consulting, not into the IT consulting. And the other option was, of course, go into the career path of IT solutions, be it back to Infosys or Wipro or any other thing. I took the decision at that time that if something had to be done, it's the journey may not be easy, but I thought that it is worth the effort to spend the time to understand business consulting more in detail, and then look at the technology interfaces from that lens. And that was the decision I took. So, having moved into business consulting, I started learning the ropes of business consulting, everything from Lean, Six Sigma, driving continuous improvement, business excellence, and all the best practices which are required. I did my MBA, executive MBA from INSEAD. That helped hone further into how to better do consulting. And I helped set the whole platform for SSA to go to a global level in terms of setting the IT systems inside, setting up best practices and other things. So over the years, what has happened is gone through hundreds and hundreds of clients, hundreds of customers, different types of businesses, different types of functions where we have done improvement work. And I think that is what keeps me going, is the variety with the job offers, in terms of never get bored of doing it, because you're not doing the same thing again and again. And even within an industry, no two customers are, you cannot have a solution which worked in an organization A, and you go and say it worked there, let us do it here. It's never going to happen, because the culture, the work practices, everything differ from company to company. So that's my journey so far.
Thank you, Ganesh. What has stayed with me from your introduction is that conversation that your boss had in your first job, as a mentor, as a coach, which probably seeded those ideas of systems, processes. That's very influential. Great. Yes, Mukesh, please, if you can
Yeah.
help us move about.
Thank you. Thank you. I think it's a good to hear Sushma's and Ganesh career journey. And I think both of their career journey was more of a subtle and compared to mine. So, so mine was a lot of highs and lows in last, initially at least first 10 years. I'll just start how I started my graduation. So once I completed my graduation in honors accounting, I moved back to Mumbai. I was till 12th, I was in Mumbai, and then 3 years away from Mumbai, and then came back to Mumbai. And when I came back to Mumbai, I've seen everybody is talking about computers, NIT, AppTech, lot many similar companies, and those were era when anybody do any kind of programming course or designing program, anything, I think they get a job. Okay, the jobs are ready. There was a quite a few shortage of the people, and so I thought that's a good way to start. Let me do some computer course and start doing some job. So that was my initial thinking, and even the parents were also agree that okay, after BCom, what kind of accounting role you will get. So let's have a IT as a better career. Those kind of phenomena was at home. And the one line which actually changed lot many things when I visited an institute, I will not name the organization because it was a person who was sitting there. The counselor told me, "Oh my God, you are a graduate and you don't know how to operate a computer," and that's a fact. So I graduated and I don't know how to switch on the computer because those were not the era where everybody has a computer or a laptop at home or not even a mobile. Okay. So I felt very, very offended. Like, that's okay. If I don't know what to do, you tell me. But the way she handled the situation, I personally felt really insulting and humiliating. So I thought, let me go back to another institute just next to that institute and do the course from there. I started my almost a year long program. Those were the time when year long and 3 year long program were most of the people were doing and they're getting job. I thought year long is good enough for me. The primary goal was complete the course, go to a IT company, do some development job or design something. Okay, that was the goal. But since I was a graduate and my initial coaching hours, I'm saying learning hours was 2 to 3 hours a day, and most of the time I was free. So I was spending almost 70% of time in that institute itself, and I was helping other my peer groups, students, and anyone without any charging any price to that. And it was a lot of learning to me as well, and even the new students who are coming to the campus were also like when you are on the same age group or maybe a same learning methodology, teacher versus a peer, there's always a difference. During that time, a very senior person from electricity department of Maharashtra, I think maybe he was maybe around 45 years, the age I am in currently. He joined institute to learn computer. Okay. And his learning capability was slightly slower compared to the young generation, what we were that time. And even the institute teachers were getting fed up that how many time I should explain. He's the person not able to, and especially somebody from the government department. You can understand they don't know how to work. So since he was genuinely wanted to learn programs and how to operate computer, and I jumped into that journey. I really helped him 3 months, and he gave me an offer. I will invest a money for a training center. You run the entire show. So I'm saying from looking for a job to an entrepreneur journey, it happened just because I really, without any, I'm say monetization or any kind of expectation, I helped a person to learn, and that person gave me an offer that okay, I will invest for institute, training institute, and you drive everything. So that was the turning point. So I'm saying within a 6 months of time, I've not even completed entire program at the particular institute, and that person has started an institute. I joined. We started everything. 3 months into the institute, we used to run local program, Tally, Coral Draw, etc., etc. I think people of my age will understand what I'm saying. And then after 3 months, within a year, we partnered with a CAD company, which is Pune based as a franchisee. And then the business started flourishing. So initially 6 months, we see that even though those time were not very, I say in the IT training, not a good time, but still the business was doing good because it was a slightly outer area, not a metro city. After 6 months, my family have seen that okay, I'm working for someone and somebody's making money. Why don't we invest and start our own? So that's when that was the time when I become an institute owner in Mumbai, and my family friends have invested as an you can say nowadays we say angel investment, but those were the time the family investment. So it was a very happy moment when somebody is really investing on you. You are very confident. You are actually going good, and you are just started. Okay, everything looks good. But what I missed out is something which has not impacted Ganesh's career, has impacted my career. That is Y2K. Okay. So somewhere between 2001, 2001, I started my institute, and I was not much aware about what's going on in the outer world, globally or India. Okay. So that the entire programming world or IT industry is going down. I was on the other part of the country where still we are almost like 5, 10 years behind, or maybe few months behind. So the kind of information I was required before my family is supposed to invest, I was not aware. Okay. So we started with a big bang, lot of publicity, and then see the turnout was not as expected, which was 6 months before versus now. So if you see the journey within the 6 months, I see a lot of highs and lows. Okay, we invested heavily that time, and when we started promoting the programs, and say very few takers, very few, because there were no jobs in the market. So it was a lot of struggling period in the first, maybe you can say 12 odd months. And I started thinking, if we go like this, we'll go bankrupt. So we should start pivoting or do something out of box. And that's when I started visiting. I'm say within 12 months also I did a lot of groundwork, meeting parents, student, and I really understand what the problem is. The problem statement was very simple. So if I do the course, what I will get? A certificate, no career, no job, then why should I do? Okay, that was a very clean proposition. And even I don't have an answer to that. Okay. So during that time, Mumbai University started their own IT programs, BSc Com Science, BSc IT, Engineering Com Science. And I'm not talking about the colleges which is in the suburbs of like Andheri and all those cities, maybe outskirt of Mumbai, they don't have a good faculties or they don't have a faculties to teach all those languages. And that's where I pitched in that, okay, I will teach all your students what is needed. And the colleges were happy. And I started my own IT training tuition center. And that was the time when my business started picking off. Even though entire market is down, the parent company from where I took the franchisee, 90%, even the company owned training center closed down, but mine was surviving and was making little money. I'm not saying too much money, but at least I was beyond break one point. So that was the point. So I'm saying the career started with some different goal, but I landed somewhere else, an entrepreneur. And then in 2 3 years, till 2003 odd years in IT training, I realized I can survive. I can make some money, but I cannot be a big person, or I cannot expand my business because the requirement is not that way big. And that's when I reached out to Career Launcher, because I found another similar infrastructure, similar manpower, similar strategy. But the thing is, something is mandatory, something is optional. The IT training is optional now, but the coaching industry is mandatory. And that's when I become a small business associate partner of Career Launcher, and Rahul sir was came in touch with me from Career Launcher onwards, because it was a IIT coaching, it was a MBA test prep coaching, and it was more of like a mandatory program for any students. Okay, so a lot of pivot happened in the market from that to MBA. And that's when my career from IT training to a mandatory program of coaching started. And then rest become a history, because from Career Launcher to I become a dedicated IT coaching, and almost 12 years I had my own coaching in few locations of Mumbai before I pivot to a startup called Mbibe, which got acquired by Reliance Jio. So if I see my early career, I see, don't look back. You just keep on moving. Keep on moving. Whatever be the situation, you find the best way out. And if you then you see, look back, your all dots are interconnected. Something is happening for some purpose. So if you start evaluating why I'm doing it, why I'm learning this program, why I'm talking to this gentleman, okay, there are lot many things you will feel not required. Yes, some nonsense hai. Okay. But after 5 years to 12 months or 10 years, if you look back and say, Arey, there was a very, very important role of that in my career. So I can say, for example, I have taken Rahul sir's training. He was a teacher for MBA test prep at Career Launch at that time, and I used to invite him at lot many colleges, in many colleges campuses, to have a career seminars, and I used to get a good conversion, obviously because of that. So he became a good friend. 20 years down the line, I requested him to teach my son a leadership program or any other program. So I never imagined. Okay, so when I needed something for my own son or daughter, I think I know the person which from 20 years back. So my advice from my career to all the students is, whatever comes your way, keep on learning. Don't evaluate every time, and the future will be bright. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. That was very generous. Thank you for this elaborate introduction here. So we'll take some questions from the parents, although I have a lot of questions which I want to ask you, but I think we'll take some questions from the parents if anybody wants to ask. Please raise your hands and I'll request you to unmute and we'll take your question. Anybody who wants to shoot a question, please go ahead, raise your hands. I can see some familiar names over here of parents. Or anybody who wants to ask, otherwise I will, any one of you or all of you, if you would like to choose to answer, what is it that one thing which you look at, apart from a lot of other things in terms of academic credentials and having the right aptitude and skills? What is the one thing that you look at when you're hiring, let's say, a fresher or a youngster to work with you? Anybody who wants to take this?
So, on my personal capacity and organization point of view, I very honestly I see people with the right attitude and honest approach, because many times people over prepared for interview, They do a lot of research, which is good, but many times to impress a panelist, they sugarcoat number, they amplify number, and because the other person is sitting on the next side is actually crossed the river almost 10 years, 20 years back. So the point is, when somebody's a fresher or maybe a less experience say something, they in during the few cross questions they get to know that what exactly you are done is. So my advice is very be honest, whatever you are done, whatever is your experience, very blunt, very honest, and that's what most of the managers and the companies are looking for.
Honesty, authenticity. Don't try to sugarcoat or amplify your needs. Thank you, sir.
So for in my case, I would say that when I'm recruiting, attitude of course goes the number one. Learnability becomes very important for me because you're not doing the same thing again and again. So how quickly you're going to learn becomes very, very essential in consulting business. And the last bit is, trying to see whether the person is really motivated enough to go the extra mile, because here in consulting we are dealing with a lot of projects, we are dealing with deadlines, time commitments, and delivering it. So going beyond commitments is what I look for when we hire, because it is not a easy journey, I would say, consulting job. It takes long hours to get to the perfect requirements of what the end customer is required to deliver. So that's what it is.
Sure. So Ganesh, learnability, attitude, of course, is there, but and wanting and the desire to go the extra mile. Thank you.
So I just wanted to mention I had the opportunity to do a campus recruitment with a couple of management institutes a year and a half back, and we have that as a cycle every year. In my last organization, we used to recruit management trainees, and the experience of the younger generation, the way they come prepared for everything. Like, even if you give them a small name, they will do so much of research on it, and thanks to the data which is available to them today, the amount of the reading and the amount of research helps them to be so curious, and I had the opportunity to interview at least 22 candidates who had been who wanted to opt for the sales and marketing role in the service industry. And fortunate enough, every candidate had so much of confidence, so much of knowledge, and so much of curiosity. I think it was such a tough task as for me to really choose between those candidates, because we had limitations of only hiring 5 out of the entire crowd. And what really attracted, and something which I want to mention, and something which already Ganesh and has also mentioned, in terms of the communication skills, the curiosity, and the willingness to learn. I think most of these these trainees who wanted to join us, they were so curious. I think that curiosity and the willingness to learn, asking questions, they were asking more questions to me than I asking them. I think that sort of gives the hirer the confidence in terms of what you should be looking out. And this is something which is very exciting, because the current generation, they're not scared to ask questions, unlike the era which possibly I can speak for myself, and I've seen a lot of my colleagues or friends who are of similar experience. They just are so very curious and ask questions. They just have so many things to talk about, more than we asking something. So I definitely look out for those curiosity in them, and the willingness to learn, willingness to ask questions, what sort of ownership, accountability. They've done so many projects, so we talk about the projects and what exactly their learnings were, what sort of challenges. So those are the critical aspects which you sort of look out for in the candidates, more than the academics.
Fantastic. So communication skills, desire to know more, ask questions, and get a lot of clarity among a lot of other things. Wonderful. Thank you for that. Yes, parents, anybody wants to shoot any question or I'll continue. I have a list with me. Anyone, please raise your hand and I'll request you to unmute, please. Yeah. All right. So I will continue with the questions. Each one of you are in a very disparate, very different industry from each other. Where do you see your industry, let's say 5 years, 7 years from now? We live in a real VUCA world, which is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. We thought COVID was the pivotal moment, and now it looks like since February of this year, the world has gone into a very different mode. Right? So how do you foresee things changing 5 years from now? What should students will be, let's say, studying and probably graduating by then look forward to in each one of your respective industries? Let's say 2030, 2032 onwards.
I think I'll go first. In terms of the logistics service industry, I think the way AI and technology is transforming the industry so rapidly, and it's like it's the fastest evolving industry. So tracking automation to customer experience, I think that is something which is definitely going to play a very major role. But having said that, I think we cannot discount the human skills like empathy, critical thinking, how do you solve problems, because a chat agent or a chat will not solve those personal connects. So you need to have that completely blended into bringing in automation, but at the same time people connect. The empathetic side of yours cannot be discounted. I think that's something very critically important to survive in this industry going forward. I think the new generation cannot say that only technology can change the world, at least not in the service industry. And they themselves experience, right? If you buy something from Amazon, you buy anything, I think they look out for trusted partners. And how has that trust come in? It's not come in only through, there have been experiences which may not have been very good, but the way the experience is changed by that organization, it's not the chatbot which is doing it, somebody sitting behind who is giving you that experience. So I think building on those skill sets along with the sort of advancement in what technology is bringing into that industry is critically important as per me.
I think Ganesh, please.
Go ahead.
Please.
Achha. No, I think I would reflect back again on what Sushma said. I think very relevant. We are in a transitionary zone at this point of time where AI is transforming way we do things and how we do things. No doubt about it. Consulting is being disrupted in a large way. The reason being is in consulting, usually what we used to bring to the table is knowledge, right? That knowledge is something which is what we used to sell, right, as time. And what we are seeing is knowledge has been truly democratized today. You have all the knowledge which is available. What is not replaceable, however, is experience, right? So while you get the knowledge, the skill required to translate that knowledge and put it to practice in a meaningful way is something which is going to be very, very important going ahead. So because learning, I think, has been democratized. Anybody can learn anything today of the book and the knowledge which is available across, right? So I think that has become free. And it has become available at any point of time when you need it, available at your fingertips. So knowing one thing is knowledge, what you want to learn, but more important is how do you apply that and how do I make something useful from that knowledge? I think that is going to differentiate the future.
I think good point from Ganesh. From a training industry point of view, if I see, I think the future belongs to the people who learn how to learn. Because many things have changed in last 20, 30, 40 years. From a private tutor to a small coaching to a large organized coaching institution to a live to a recorded to a book to a CBT computer. So every few years the methodology to learn is automatically get changed. And now, as Ganesh rightly quoted, the kind of amount of information and the knowledge is available at a just fraction of second, okay, which we cannot even imagine. Actually, I think the current generation is sitting on a wealth of information and the knowledge, which is easily available. But how to learn, and obviously the experienced people. So from a training point of view, it used to be a teacher, you used to decide what to teach, what not to teach, how long it will take, etc. Nowadays I see a cohort of students who themselves know what they are supposed to learn for a particular exam or a career. May not be 100% accurate, but almost they are very much, because the kind of homework they are doing and the kind of information it's available online, they are already working on it, and somebody's keep on doing continuously, because it happens at the age of 17 versus age of 27 and 47, things will change. If somebody will not keep their pace on how to learn, because technology will change, methodology will change, platforms will change. If you just be stick to your 10 years 20 years old methodology, then you will fail. What I feel. So where I am today, this is the one of the reason that I keep updating myself, whichever things are available. I'm saying I see my schoolmates who never use chat gpt, for example. Okay. Where example, I'm sitting on maybe not only ChatGPT, maybe five more platform which I may not be using frequently, but at least I'm exploring, I'm learning, I'm talking to someone. Maybe I'm just sitting with my son or even a daughter. Okay. So, for example, there was a Google launched a app called Bolo. Okay. And she started having a chat with the Google application. It's not a bot, it's an app actually, to learn Hindi and other languages. So I don't need a immediate I need a teacher, but obviously there are gaps in that, and that's when the teacher can fill the gap. So there are things keep on changing, and we have to keep on pivoting ourselves of learning methodology. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. We have a question from a parent. Yes, if you can please unmute and ask a question.
Hi, hello everybody. Okay, so just wanted to ask, because all of you spoke about empathy and everything, and I remember someone, Mr. NC, telling me this. Your skill can take you at a certain level in your career, but after that, what matters is your people skills. Okay. He has a book also. I think Ganesh can talk about that later sometime. But my thing is now with, even Modi ji now asking from work from home becoming such a reality. And, we tend to the kids physical, and due to technology and everything and Zoom meetings and everything, Rahul also conducts most of his stuff online. Everything is moving towards that and work from home. How do you guys foresee the next generation to tackle that, to get the human factor in? It's always a challenging part. So I think that's one of the reasons sports is really taking a front, you know thing. But I would like to hear your take. Your industries I know are different, but yeah, just work from home and people skills.
So I'll respond first on this. For a student, school was and is the first place where they learn people skill apart from family. Okay, we send our kids to school primarily for two reasons. One, for obviously acads, and second, they learn social ecosystem, interacting with the people, blah blah blah. But 20 years back versus now, lot many parents have started feeling that what is expected to be at the school is not as it is. So homeschooling become a alternate to that. Okay, so the academic learning and academic certification is having from a different point of view, whether it's a homeschooling or online schooling or an online degree. Even a graduation degree is becoming online nowadays, BITS, Pilani, and etc. But the people management, interaction, social ecosystem become a local instead of going to a school 20 kilometer, 10 kilometer far off. it become a local, go joining a tennis court or a football club or a cricket, and some clubs nearby, and that's how people start making interaction, and they learn a lot of things. At homeschooling, sorry, at work from home also, the people management is important because it's more critical even, because when I'm sitting at home and my colleague or a field member or teammate sitting somewhere else and we never met, but still I have to understand the problems he or she may be facing or the kind of challenges they are facing for any kind of business transaction or any other things. That's what I think of.
Sure.
I think, Mani, I'll just answer your question. So, my experience while recruitment and also talking to the new generation, I think today's generation, if you tell them that you will have work from home or a hybrid structure, they don't want that job. They are bluntly refusing. I have candidates who have refused this and they want to come to work, and they want to be in that, they need that cultural space for they don't want to be working, they don't like those work from home environment. And I have seen a couple of candidates ask this as a preliminary question, whether it's work from home or it is work from office. I think they all love coming to the offices. In fact, just to divert this discussion a little, there have been candidates who, I would not call them candidates, once they are employees, they don't want to get into managerial roles because they don't like to take stress. That's a very funny thing, but it's a true. They don't want to take those mid management roles, and they don't want to handle teams. They want to be independent. They want to work as a team, but they don't want to really become at a level where they have to supervise their other team members. So I think culturally it's changing, Manvi. I think what I see at my when I had these experience of working with the Gen Zs, their way of approaching is completely different. And let me tell you, they don't even look back in terms of just resigning and going away, saying, giving this, quoting this as a reason for their, they're okay not having those, having those uncomfortable conversation of pay raise or anything. But this could be one of the factors which could make them decide that they don't want to be this. And that's the reason you see so many, the new generation, they hop their jobs so fast, they move on so fast to newer workspace, and the first thing they see is what is exciting around me, what sort of new things is the HR doing. And I think the HR is the most stressed in every organization today, because they have to live up to the Gen Z expectations of bringing them to office every day and being them, retaining them as talent. I think that culture is changing, and I would say that going forward, this work from home is not going to stay for a longer time. It's only the other people who have multiple consultations or etc. They may continue to do this, but still, I think, Rahul, you yourself will agree that moving from Mulund to different locations over the years, I think that's how it's going to be. It's not going to be only work from home. That's my take and my experience over the years now handling the Gen Zs.
Ganesh, before I answer to what Sushma has said, Ganesh, your inputs, please.
It's a difficult one, people. I was just trying to think, is Maslow's hierarchy still relevant today or not? Is where I was thinking that what is the satisfaction level or what is the minimum requirement today to keep anybody happy, right? I think we need to relook at those definitions, and what we learned is probably not very relevant today, and we have to reinvent. But coming back to the question, do people skills matter? Absolutely, it does matter, because finally the other end of the chat is a person. So what is happening in the remote working environments? I feel that people are disconnected emotionally, right? They are not connected emotionally. They are just transactionally connected. So you do the work, but you're not emotionally connected. And with that, what happens is you don't have a sense of belonging, of family and oneness, which was the requirement to have longevity in organizations, right? Because that oneness and belongingness is there when you meet and emotionally connect. I think it is a matter of time how the technology evolves to bring in that emotional connect. It's a matter of time when people will be emotionally connected remotely also. I think that will then transition into a new transformation.
You just gave everybody a business idea, is it?
Great. Thanks. So yeah, so I think we are actually in a lot of VUCA world that is there. I mean, online became a reality because of the constraints of COVID, and we needed to work. But if I talk specifically for Indians, we are culturally more touch and feel country. Although buying online is becoming the norm more, but we still love to meet in people and take things ahead. Specifically, when you talked about my programs, yes, my programs, a lot of them can be delivered and are delivered online because it's very clearly structured for an online delivery. Although from parents' side, they insist on coming and meeting me in person. So that's the reason I started with BKC and Loparel and Andheri soon. Because a lot of parents have the requirement of meeting in person. I have parents driving down from Gujarat and sometimes Rajasthan. They just come down for a 2-hour counseling session because want to see in flesh and blood. So a cultural thing. The challenge with EQ is something that requires a lot more discussion on how one is how do we imbibe that in the kids of today, the generation of today, and second is how relevant. There's no question of the relevance of it being extremely important, and that is something that we focus on in the leadership coaching also. But today is not the day I want to speak about myself, but broadly, I see it as a mixed bag of things coming across as far as in person or online is concerned. Any other questions, parents? Anything else you could have to ask over here? Anyone else wants to ask question? Please raise your hands, and we'll be very happy to take that. Yeah, so I think we are at the fag end of the discussion. We are already about 55 minutes in it. Just last final words of inputs from each one of you for parents and for students going ahead. Careers of tomorrow. All of us are parents of teenagers or Gen Zs and Gen Alpha over here. So as a parent, as a mother, as a father, and most importantly, as an employer, any inputs you'd like to give for the generation of tomorrow?
I think I'll start. I
Yeah.
think it's very important to understand satisfaction versus success distinction, and trying to find what is really going to help my child be happy is more important today than trying to see what will make him successful. Going ahead, I think with all the VUCA and all the uncertainties which are continuously happening, it is very important that people understand that distinction and focus towards being happy.
Sure, thank you. So happiness over success, with the assumption that if the child is happy, success will follow. Thank you for that.
I think the future belongs to adaptable learners. I think they need to keep on upgrading skills, not run for titles and comp packages. I think the Gen Zs within a couple of months, they expect that they know everything. They've done a lot and they just want to ask for a raise and everything. But that's fine. I think that's part of the career journey, but they need it too fast. I think that sort of a patience, and they need to keep on building their emotional intelligence and not fear change. I think they need to keep adapting to the and keep evolving because human skills is something which they need to really work upon. I think that's where we as parents, I think we play a very important role. We because rest of it is all easily available. I think this is something which is the skill set which we have to build together to make them successful. And I think career-wise, Rahul, I think you are the best judge. I think the way the current generation keeps on, switching their thoughts and their expectations, and the way they keep on transforming. I think it's phenomenal. But yeah, I think what needs to be grounded is something which is human skills, which will remain timeless. I think that's something which we as parents need to work on. Yeah, I think rest whatever Ganesh spoke, I think most of those skill sets is something which they can definitely build on.
I'll add a few points to this career-wise. Obviously, the parents plays a vital role in defining a child's career. Historically, my parents wanted me to be an engineer from IIT or maybe a good institution, but I'm not the product of IIT. Nonetheless, the career has to be by the choice of kid, the domain they actually learn and enjoy. Okay. Many a time, parents have their own future journey. They have our own thought processes, and many a time, the child or a parent decide career basis where they will get a more money. Okay. What I personally feel is money will follow. Money will automatically come. Don't decide career basis what higher packages or where higher packages somebody will get it. Okay. It may be a core industry, it may be a soft industry, IT industry doesn't matter. Only difference is somebody made a use money in the early days of IT transformation. At the age of 45, 50, 55, they are on retiring age, and that they are not getting jobs because with the current trend, they are not able to keep it up. But if you go to another industry, maybe mechanical or some other industry, the people who are really worked hard for 20 odd years are sitting on a top positions because their experience matters a lot now. Okay. Because the changes in the industry is not 360-degree like in IT example. Okay. So career obviously is very important for everybody, even for parents. Definition of career is may vary from parent to parent. For example, Ganesh is saying happiness is matters a lot. I agree completely. But somebody sitting in a rural village of Rajasthan or Bihar, for them survival matters first. First get something to survive, and have a house, roti kapda makan, and then think of an happiness. Okay, philosophically we can say that it's a mental state to be happy. But it all depend because on the screen we all are sitting with having our own house with a stable job, certain bank balance, and we can say now happiness is required. But so the career is it's vary from person to person, family to family, geography to geography. But irrespective of that, the career has to be basis their interest and passion. Not just because somebody wanted or I wanted or a Rahul sir wanted or somebody wanted. And then in the particular domain, every student will be flourish and make the money also in the flow. Even nowadays, guru also make the money if they do bhakti. So that's not a problem. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much for that. You brought the social angle also into picture, Mukesh sir. You are meeting hundreds of students preparing, or rather thousands and tens of thousands of students preparing for JEE and NEET and other things. So I can completely understand the context you're coming from. One final question we have from Gautam Gajra. I hope we have a few minutes, Ganesh, Mukesh, although we were wrapping it. But yes, Gautam, please go ahead. Please unmute yourself, and one final question from the panel.
Okay, I am not asking a question, but I am just having an observation of the lovely, guests who are there on this. But my take is that today's children have different challenges, not like the ones we had in 1990s, or early 2000, where finding a job was mandatory, finding a house to stay was, mandatory. Today's kids, I see that iPhone 17 lena hai, iPhone 18 lena hai. That is the, thing. And, BMW has this features, Mercedes has that feature, and Indian cars have that feature. So they're a privileged lot, So they have a lot to choose from, and the privileges they have are enormous. So we always should have that in mind, that we have a privileged lot of children, who have whose upbringing is very different, So
Sure.
I always keep that in mind, that okay, that these kids have the right to choose. They are not in the same situation that their parents were maybe 30 years back,
Yes,
right?
point taken. Point absolutely taken, Gautam. Anything you want to specifically ask any of our audiences?
No, I'm fine. I think I had a lot of information from them.
All right, wonderful, wonderful.
Thank
Chalo,
you.
great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much again, Sushma Salian, Ganesh Iyer, and Mukesh Rajpurohit for taking your time out this Sunday and giving us perspectives, insights, and most importantly, your experience-based inputs for parents and students to mull over, marinate, and use up to structure outcomes for their children going ahead. Thank you so much. Thank you, parents, for joining in. All of you have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday. On 31st of May, we come back again with two doctors, two MDs rather, one ophthalmologist and one orthopedic, and they will give us perspectives on the journey of medicine, especially in this era of NEET getting cancelled and redone. Something interesting to hear from the doctors coming in. So thank you so much, all of you. Have a wonderful Sunday. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone for that, and thank you also.
Bye.